Hey guys, welcome back. In the last video, we talked about data types and variables, and in today's video, we're going to talk about expressions and basic operators. So, just like in math, an expression is anything that Python can evaluate to a value, and we're going to do this through the use of operators. Now, Python has the four basic arithmetic operators, and I'll write them out for you. So, we have the plus sign for addition, the minus sign for subtraction, the asterisk for multiplication, and the slash for division. So these are all very, very intuitive. Writing an expression is also very straightforward. If I wanted to add 5 plus 3, all I would do is type 5 plus 3. But notice, when you run it, nothing is displayed in the terminal. And if you remember from our first video, the only way to get any information outputted to the terminal is by printing it. So I could just say print 5 plus 3, click run, and there you go. 8 appears. And the same goes for subtraction, multiplication, and division. Now, you can also add variables. You don't have to have just numbers. So you could say variable x equals 5, and variable y equals 3. And then if you wanted to print x plus y, you're again going to get 8. Or if you want to make this a little cleaner but a little bit more complicated, you could say z equals x plus y and just add the variables directly and then just print z. And once again, it's going to output 8. And this can be a little confusing, so I'm going to walk you through it. X is assigned to 5, so anytime you see an x, you should be thinking 5. Y is assigned to 3. So anytime you see a 3, or anytime you see a y, you should be thinking of a 3. So this statement right here is essentially saying that z is equal to 5 plus 3. And so when you go to print z, you're going to print 5 plus 3. Z will hold the value 8. And you can see, based on the operator I choose, the value is going to change. And with division, you'll notice that you get a decimal. And that's because Python automatically determines, based on how you're interacting with the variables, what kind of type they are. So when Python sees x divided by y, or 5 divided by 3, it's saying, okay, we're going to treat 5 and 3 as a float, and therefore return a decimal. Now, one really useful tool that comes along with the addition operator is string concatenation. And it sounds pretty complicated, but all it is adding strings together. So I could print out hi, and then I use my addition operator, and I'll add it to the string there. And so you can see that this prints hi there. Now if you wanted a space, all that you have to do is just add a space, add another plus, and print it out. There you go. And you can have as much of these as you want. And the same goes as before. I could have a variable x that's equal to hi, and a variable y that's equal to there. Then I could make a variable z and say it's equal to x plus y. And then I could just print out z. And you can see it's giving you the same output. Now, if you wanted a space, but you wanted to keep it like this, you could just add the space directly in there. And let's say you wanted to add another word in between them. You could do that too. And you'll see, it just puts it right in there. Now, this only works with addition. You can't subtract strings, you can't multiply strings, you can't divide strings. And you'll see, I could do hello minus h. Now you might think that it might just get rid of the h, but no, it's not going to work. And you should also notice that you can't add strings with other data types. So if I tried to add a string with the integer 8, that's also going to get me an error. However, if I wanted it to say hello 8, you could turn 8 into a string by putting it in quotes and print that out here. There you go. But it's important to realize that once you turn 8 into a string, you can no longer perform mathematical operations on that. You can string concatenate, but it's not going to treat it like an expression. If I wanted to do 8 plus 5, you might think that this would output 13. However, since they're strings, it's just going to add the strings together and create 85. Okay, so regarding everything I just said, you can mix and match a little bit too. Like, you don't have to just have x equals 5, y equals whatever, and then z equals x plus y. You could just say that z equals x plus 10. So you could do that too, and just print out z. And that'll give you the same result. Because like I said, variables, they just store data. Anytime you're interacting with that variable or like that variable name, you're essentially just interacting with the number or the string or the float that it's storing. Okay, now Python actually has a few more operators besides just addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So the first one is floor division, and it's denoted by 2 backslashes. So that's floor division. Now, what does this do? If you recall earlier, we had print 5 divided by 3. You can see that this is printing a really long decimal. And sometimes you don't want the decimal. Sometimes you just want the 1. And that's essentially what floor division gives you. It's just going to drop the decimal. So there you go. Now you should notice that even though it's 1.6, it's not going to round to 2. It's always going to floor down. So even if your number was 1.99999, it's still going to give you 1. Moving on to the next operator, we have the modulus operator. And this actually comes in handy a lot more frequently than you would think. Now what this does is it just gives you the remainder. So if I wanted to print 5 modulus 3, that's going to give me the remainder, which should be 2. Now, just for another example, if I wanted to print 8 modulus 4, you'll notice that 8 can be divided by 4, so the remainder should be 0. There you have it. Now, in future videos, modulus can be really useful to determine if a number is even or not by doing that number modulus 2. And if the remainder equals 0, that means that it's even. And the last one that we're going to talk about is the exponent operator. And that is just a double asterisk. So, what's an easy one? let's say 5 to the power of 2. 25, exactly what you would expect. You want to put it to the power of 3? 125. So pretty simple, right? So now that you know all the expressions, you can set up some pretty interesting equations. And just like in the real world, Python uses PEMDAS. So you could have print 2 plus 3 times 4. But if you wanted to add 2 plus 3 first, all you have to do is put it in parentheses, and it'll do that first. Exactly like in your math class. So you can see this prints out 14, and this prints out 20. Right? Because it's going to do multiplication first unless otherwise told. So 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2, that's 14. But in this one, since it's in the parentheses, it's going to do 2 plus 3 first, which is 5, times 4, which is 20. Now I'm going to set us up with a quick little intro to comparison operators, which we're going to use in the next video with conditional statements. And there's about 6 of these. The equals equals operator. Now if you remember, the equal sign, just one equal sign, is the assignment operator, which is going to do something different than this. This is going to check if 2 values are equal. Then we have the not equal operator, which is going to be an exclamation point and then an equal sign, and it's going to check if 2 values are not equal. Then we have the greater than operator, exactly what you would think it would be. Same with the less than. And then if you wanted to do greater than or equal to, you just do the greater than sign followed by the equal to. Same format with the less than or equal to. And there you go. Those are your comparison operators. So just for a quick demo, let's say print 5 equal to 5. And I'll explain this more in the next video, so don't worry if you're not understanding it right now. This outputs true, and that's because all of these are used for Boolean logic, which if you don't remember, Boolean variables are true or false. So this is going to return true if they equal each other. For the not equals operator, this one only returns true if they do not equal each other. But since 5 does equal 5, this should return false. And you can see it returns false. And I think you should be able to get the idea for what the rest do. But once again, I'm going to cover these in a little bit more depth in our next video about conditionals. So I'm going to leave it at this. Don't think I forgot. You guys still have a challenge. And for this one, it's going to be a little bit different. So here's 5 lines of code. And there's an error in these lines. And I want you to identify that error. Well, there's technically 2 errors. And I'm going to give you a few seconds, pause the video if you need, and then I'm going to tell you guys. Okay, so looking at this code, we have x equals 5, y equals the string 2. And here we're trying to print x plus y. Now this is essentially the same as printing 5 plus the string 2. Now what do we remember about string concatenation? You cannot add a string with an integer. You can't add 2 different variable types together. So this is going to cause an error. Now if you look closely here, this is a more subtle error, and I didn't technically cover it, but you still have to follow all of the mathematical rules in your program, which means that you cannot divide by 0. So that's going to cause an error. And if you see, we have the x plus y error. And then we also have this error right here, because you can't divide by 0. So that is another thing that you should keep in mind. Follow the mathematical rules, and you should be okay. But yeah, thanks for watching.